All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown. Today we're continuing our most hours played category, specifically with Super Smash Brothers. All right, let's start off with some initial thoughts. Pete, get us started.
Okay, where to go with this one? So for our most hours played, last week we talked about Smite, which is pretty niche game. And then to give a little clue about our next game, it's a very popular game, but it's also has its niche, probably a larger niche, but it's not for everybody. But when it comes to Super Smash Brothers, I feel like everyone's at least played it, like knows what it is, knows what it's all about, played it at some party with, with their friends. So I'm excited to talk about it.
All right, Tom?
Yeah, there's so much to say about this game, but I'm not going to say much of it right now, because that's what the episode is for. But yeah, I mean, just Super Smash Brothers is the type of game that you like buy a console for, specifically for this one game. Like, it's such a selling point for a console, and I think
I
mean,
did do that
with us. Well, yeah, and then even with the Wii U version, we pretty much had like only a few games, and Super Smash Brothers was the reason we bought that in the first place. Yeah, it's just so many memories to recollect, and we'll get into that soon.
Yeah, and definitely I'll keep it short, but this is a top game for us. One of our obviously most hours played, but also just a lot of fun. Great cross between casual gamers and esport professional gamers. Can enjoy this game, and that's what makes it really, really good. And we'll get into it. For those that don't know, I'm Anthony, and along with my two brothers, Pete and Tom, this is Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown. And here is how the show works. Each of us picks a game that fits within each genre or category. And the first three episodes of that grouping of discussion, we will be talking about one of those games in detail regarding the story, gameplay, effect on the gaming community, and more. The fourth episode in the grouping is our Bro Down episode, where we will have a courtroom style debate, each of us defending one of the three previously discussed games while attacking the other two and ultimately declaring a winner. That's a little bit of a change up from our prior Bro Downs, and we're trying this new format in the new year for our Bro Down episodes. So Super Smash Brothers, as many people know, is a popular Nintendo game published by Nintendo and developed by various different studios throughout its lifetime. We will be discussing the whole Super Smash Brothers series today, so not just one particular game. We're going to go through all of them, starting with Super Smash Brothers that debuted in 1999 on the N64, followed by Super Smash Brothers Melee, which released on the GameCube in 2001, followed several years later by Super Smash Brothers Brawl, which released on the Wii in 2008. Then Super Smash Brothers for 3DS and Wii U for the 3DS and Wii U in 2014. And then culminating in its most recent release for the Nintendo Switch in 2018 with Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. All right, let's get started with this discussion. This is a really big game for us, and I don't want to just kind of run through what the game is all about for the people living under a rock that might not know.
Well, I think the coolest thing about the game, especially the first one, the N64 version, was just like the crossover element.
Yeah.
Like your favorite characters from, you can meet Mario and Luigi and Pokemon and Kirby and Link, from all your favorite games, all the main characters are now in one game.
Yeah,
Duking it out. That was a huge appeal, I think, for the first game.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's and it's a cool little story like behind it. Masahiro Sakurai was the creator of this game, and he had initially created like a four-player, this sort of nameless and faceless kung fu fighters, and it was on sort of platforms like Final Destination stage that ultimately came into Super Smash Brothers, and that was the prototype, the demo that he initially created, and then he pitched to Nintendo to allow him to use their intellectual property, their characters to really drive the point home in the game and just to really bring it to what it was. And I think they sort of objected at first, but then they relented obviously eventually, and that's sort of led to the first Super Smash Brothers game for N64, which became a big hit and allowed the creation of the following episodes, following games rather. And Nintendo seems they're very protective of their characters, so they probably didn't love the idea of them fighting each other, but it's not like a Mortal Kombat blood spewing everywhere kind of fighting game, so that probably lessened the blow for them a little bit, and ultimately I think they made the right call.
Yeah, I mean, they are using kind of their moves and abilities that they use in their respective games. It's just against each other.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, you could argue, like, why is it offensive for Pikachu to use Thunderbolt against Mario, but not against, name your Charmander or.
I mean, they probably didn't want people like beating up Mario or Link or something.
Yeah. You guys remember the commercial? I love commercials.
Yeah, I do. I've just in my like research just of the game, I kind of remembered. I saw it, and it was the one with like Pikachu, Mario, Donkey Kong, and Yoshi all like walking in a field together, and then like Mario trips Yoshi, and they start fighting or whatever.
Yeah. But it's like people in sort of
Right.
Yeah, like
mascot type
yeah.
costumes. Yeah, I remember like that commercial really hooked me. I really wanted to get the game after seeing that.
Yeah, and this wasn't a game that we had gotten originally because we didn't own the N64 until like several years after
Yeah.
it was already released, and this wasn't like we were storming the Toys R Us to get this on release night or anything like that.
So was
Yeah.
our first Super Smash Brothers Melee for GameCube?
No, we had the N64 one.
I know we had it, but I remember, didn't we get N64 like I thought we got it
No.
like years later. I guess we did, but it was still before GameCube.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So, by my recollection, the N64 came out sometime in the late 90s, right? Then Super Smash Brothers released in April of 99, I think we said. And then I think,
99.
yeah, 99. I think we got the N64 like a year later for our birthday, April of 2000.
Gotcha.
So it was 1 year after Smash Brothers, but more time had passed since the launch of the N64.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you're thinking of.
Maybe.
There's a great deal on that N64, by the way. I remember when we did our Donkey Kong 64 episode, we posted the box that our N64 came in, and it had the price tag still on it, and it was quite the deal.
Yeah. And that came with Donkey Kong 64 too.
Which was our first Brothers and Boss Battles episode, if anyone wants to go back and take a listen to that one.
Yeah. Great game, great episode.
The inaugural episode.
I was gonna say, and a great character that's also in Super Smash Brothers.
Right.
That's right. Yes.
So the gameplay is basically, I felt started getting into it more with the GameCube one, with Melee, and the N64 one's very basic. There's like 8 characters, not that many stages. It's a little clunky moving, the characters, I feel, in fighting. But Melee is when it really hit its stride, and I think that's your guys' like favorite entry into the Super Smash Brothers world. But we could talk a little bit. I don't want to talk for you guys, but I know I know a lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah.
like that one.
We played the N64 one a fair bit.
Yeah.
We,
Honestly,
yeah,
that the N64 and I remember like playing at friends' houses more than like with you guys.
yeah. I don't really have a strong recollection of the three of us playing
Yeah,
N64. I remember me and Tom once, like, I think we like were going to go to our friend's like birthday party or something later in the day, and this was in the summer, so we had off, and so we did like a team 99 stock match or something just to pass the
Oh
time
man.
against two CPU players.
But
So dumb.
yeah. So like the controls in this game, like I mentioned sort of that it's been in tournaments, this used in tournaments, but it's also sort of basic enough where anyone could pick up and like do okay. You're not gonna like beat one of these esports champions, but like it's fun amongst friends more so than like any I feel newer fighting games are. And like it's pretty basic. You have like your A and B attacks, and then you could go up, left, down, right to do different sets.
Yeah. No, that's a good point actually, because I think I was reading, and I hope I'm not conflating this with something else, but like they wanted to make it more appealing to casual gamers, right? And some fighting games with these crazy combos and things, and they wanted to, stay away from that.
Yeah.
yeah. They
Um,
did. They definitely accomplished that.
Well, I think
yeah,
that was a goal. Yeah,
Yeah,
to
and
make
even
it.
like
So I
just like
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, fast forwarding to like the most recent Smash Ultimate, the fact that you can play the game pretty like fully just using the Joy-Con flipped on its side,
Hmm.
like it tells a lot about how they were trying to make it available or approachable for the casual people.
Yeah.
that's true. But I mean, you think back to Sega Genesis games. There's not a ton of buttons on those controllers, but you still had to like do combos and stuff.
Yeah, but it
Not
wasn't like new
really.
ones. It
No,
wasn't
I
like
No,
don't
not like
because
no,
like
it
really agree with
wasn't.
that.
because back then, like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat were accessible to everyone too. I feel now they're not.
I guess.
That and but Super Smash Brothers has maintained accessibility. I feel throughout all of its entries.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
so without getting
Just,
into
so,
yeah, go
just
ahead.
one more thing on this topic. Uh, Also, the idea, and then maybe you were going to get into this, how instead of having a health bar that depletes, you
Mhm.
start out at kind of 0%, and it keeps going up basically infinitely, but it makes it easier and easier to knock get your character knocked off the stage.
Right.
And
That's a,
that was to combat sort of like in these traditional fighting games where you kind of get stuck in a corner and then you
mhm.
just like can't get out and people
Yeah,
just, you
yeah,
know,
they cheese you.
yeah, they cheese you.
Yeah, that was a cool little addition as well. And what I wanted to bring up two things. One sort of like the lore of the game that I had uh saw on a YouTube video, and I haven't like independently verified this, but apparently Sakurai like was playing in an arcade and like brutally beat this like other person that went to the arcade just for like fun in like some fighting game. And he kind of like felt bad about that. And that was sort of the impetus for creating a more accessible fighting game like this. So I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, it sounds true. It seemed like, but whatever. But what I had wanted to, I thought it was a
Sounds reasonable, so it must
cute
be
little
true.
story. Yeah. But what I wanted to say about the controls without getting into the nitty gritty of each actual individual move
Of
is,
each direction.
yeah, the no, I was doing it more to highlight like the accessibility. You have two buttons and then directionals. It's not like, four
Yeah, no, it's
shoulder
simple.
buttons and like trigger
You're right.
buttons and all of that.
Well, you do have those, but you don't necessarily need to use
Yeah,
them
yeah, true.
for the
Um,
shield and
but
rolling.
but the thing I wanted to bring up about the controls of this game that I find very interesting is that like you had Super Smash Brothers for N64 and people used the N64 control. Then you had Super Smash Brothers Melee for GameCube and people used the GameCube controller, and that was like a huge sort of those that controller became ubiquitous with the game. So then when we came out, they had it where you could get I guess an accessory that you could use the GameCube controller, and I felt like that's persisted all the way until the Switch. for using a GameCube style controller. So I don't know if it was like awesome
Yeah.
marketing on their part or if it just really was so good that they had to continue
I think
providing
it's
this as an
that
option.
like so Super Smash Brothers Melee was really where the diehards were born for this series.
Yeah.
So they all, and like us included, we've put, probably thousands of hours into that game alone
Mhm.
and just got so familiar with that GameCube controller that it would have been hard and just, not ideal to switch to a different one when the subsequent games came out.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
like trying to
they
play
could
that game with the Wii controller is like,
exactly.
Well, yeah.
They could have
But they
like
always had these like the Wii Pro Pad, like which is more
yeah,
like a traditional controller,
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
so that you wouldn't have to play with the
that's a
Wiimote
good
and the
point.
nunchuck,
I was just gonna say like you don't necessarily need the GameCube controller, but you need some form of a traditional controller.
yeah, but I think you kind of need like it got to the point where you needed the GameCube, just the buttons where they were. And like Tom said, that's like where the tryhards were born. And it's true because Melee was when the tournament started.
I
And so,
said diehards, not tryhards.
oh yeah, diehards.
The
But
GameCube controller really is fantastic, though, in my opinion.
it's good. It's great for that game.
No, yeah, I like it. I have really no complaints about it.
Yeah. But yeah,
The
we
Z
went,
button's a little hard, like to press
Yeah,
sometimes, but that's it.
I used to throw them with Z, right? You could like or grab.
grab, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then yeah. So I mean, when I said that Melee was your guy's favorite, he kind of like sort of gave me like on the screen. So I just kind of wanted to, I think an important part of this is to talk about some of the differences at least between the games. So this might kind of spur that conversation.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
what do you guys think of the different versions and what was your favorite?
Yeah, so I think Melee is widely considered to be the best one, I guess,
Yeah, yeah,
especially in terms of like competitive play.
right. Because Brawl really like drew the ire of a lot of people, even though up until Ultimate, I think it was the best seller.
Yeah.
yeah. Even with
Well,
Melee, I think they had like this Project M, which was like I guess a community like modded version of the game
Mm. Yeah,
where like that persisted. It might even still be around. I'm not
yeah.
entirely sure, but I
I'm
think
not.
it is. But
Yeah, well, so basically, when Brawl came out, and people started, especially the competitive players, started not liking it, they kind of started up the Melee tournaments again, like even while Brawl was out. And then I remember Nintendo like had given license to stream these episodes or to otherwise publish them. And then like at the last minute when all of this new Melee ones were coming out while Brawl was out, they kind of pulled that license. And then there was a huge backlash, and then they relented eventually. But I mean, that just goes to show like the tension that the diehards really did feel between Brawl and
oh
Melee.
wow.
yeah, but just to illustrate just how I guess popular and loved that particular game entry in the series was.
But we kind of went off the rails. So like as far
Yeah,
as like you guys and
bring
like
it back.
Yeah, so I feel like to not circle around the question, to answer it directly, I feel like our favorite, and I don't want to speak for Tom, was Brawl.
Yeah, that was my favorite too.
So Melee was the fastest, I felt,
yes,
right?
Brawl
And
was
Brawl was the slowest
right,
besides N64.
right, and that was the thing that the competitive players didn't like how slow it was. But I think that
Yeah.
it sort of added to the accessibility for people or a
Yeah.
wide swath of people.
So I assume competitively they don't play with items, but Brawl also did introduce the final smash balls and the assist trophies,
Mhm.
which adds to the variability,
Yeah,
the more
well, yeah,
impactful items.
right. Those again, and what's great about the game is that you can really customize it. So you can take all of that off, or you could leave all of it on, or you could do anywhere in between.
Yeah, or
And I do,
increase the frequency, decrease the
yeah,
frequency that these items appear, which items appear.
right. And which is great. And I do think competitively they use no or minimal items. I know for a while they were using no items, and they even limited the stages to decrease
Yeah.
randomness as well, since some stages are ridiculous. But so it's funny because yeah, so I just thought you guys went with the crowd and always like Melee the best, but I guess it was Brawl, and
So
Brawl did introduce a lot more characters and
yeah,
stages, so it was, and plus these other items, so it kind of was more fun.
that's the thing. Like gameplay itself aside, you also have to consider that Brawl had more stages and characters. So, and graphics were better, right? So
Yeah,
that all adds to how much fun we had with the game. I did
right.
want to
And
point one other thing out though. The Brawl also introduced the tripping, I think, right?
yes, that
Where
was
it's
the
like
one
if
with
you
the
were like
tripping.
moving or changing directions too fast or like dodging too much or something, you would kind of have some chance, some probability of like just randomly falling
Right.
on your face.
And that's one of the other things
Yeah.
that the competitive people hated, because it was like they felt, I guess, that they were being penalized for being swift and good and all of that. So,
Yeah.
but
That
Back
but
in
that
the
I agree
day,
with. That's
yeah,
yeah,
me
that
t-
was a dumb addition.
in hindsight, I 100% agree with it. But to be fair, I
you
don't
agree with
remember
that?
ever.
You agree with that opinion, or you agree with the inclusion of tripping?
I agree with the opinion that
Oh,
it
okay,
wasn't a great inclusion, and
right. Yeah,
But to be fair, I complain, and when I was a kid, I complained about a lot of things in video games. I never remember complaining about that.
yeah. Maybe you
You
just
know,
played slowly.
Yeah, maybe I benefited from it.
Yeah. The thing, so it's funny. You mentioned Smash Balls and you mentioned assist trophies. So just quickly, Smash Balls was like the floating ball of the Super Smash Brothers symbol, and you have to hit it a few times. And if you did, you then press B, and generally you do some super move basically. And then the assist trophies, it looked like this little pod, and you would pick it up, and then something would come out to help you, whether it was like a buff for you or a shield or some other character that would attack the your opponents. So like it's funny because I really loved the assist trophies, and I really hated the Smash Balls. I liked
Yeah,
the fact that the assist trophies were ways to get other Nintendo characters into the game, which I thought was really cool. But the Smash Balls just, first of all, they weren't all equal, all the moves. Some were a lot better than others, so that was kind of dumb. And it really just was like a little too random.
they were too OP for the
Yeah.
most part. Where it's just like you could be having a good fight, and then
Mhm.
whoever gets to the Smash Ball basically has a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Another thing I found funny was like everyone would be fighting, having a good time, and then the Smash Ball would appear, and everyone would stop fighting and just try to hit the
Yeah.
Smash Ball,
Right.
and then you had
Right.
to hit it a couple of times for it to,
Yeah.
you know,
I, the one
activate.
right. The one cool thing about it was like I think you had to sort of be on a platform to use it. So like if you could keep like hitting them once they got the Smash Ball, you could kind of like hit it out of them and it would
All
like
right.
appear. So that was an okay sort of addition. But we were pretty item friendly when the three of us played, and we even took out the Smash Balls. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. So
back
that says something.
yeah. And then Brawl also had like that single player mode, space
So
subspace emissary.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little
So
bit of a
I don't know.
storyline.
Yeah, that's widely considered to be probably the best
Single
single
player.
player
Yeah,
story mode in a Smash Brothers. And I don't know. I never got my jollies from any of the single player
yeah,
modes in any Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I think it was a way to like more quickly unlock some of the characters.
right. And
So
they had like trophies and collectibles in these games as well, which may or may not be someone's like thing, but it could it just gave another layer of things to do in this game, and
yeah,
yeah,
that was before the era of achievements and PlayStation trophies. I mean,
yeah,
there's still nothing on Nintendo consoles for some reason,
I know.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it's always cool to have those extra like incentives to
Yeah,
do things.
collectibles. And it is
And,
cool.
and
It's just even another way to get more Nintendo references and
yeah,
characters. into the
Right,
game.
right, right. And then the other thing with Brawl, that was the first game that had third party characters, right? Like, wasn't I think Melee was all Nintendo, right? But then Brawl
Yeah,
had like Snake
Snake and
and
Sonic. That's right.
yeah, so that was, I believe, the first non-Nintendo character, which was awesome. I mean, like that was really cool too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. So for Snake and Sonic, I believe their respective developers, whatever,
Rights
had
holders.
rights holders actually were trying to negotiate them into Melee, I think, but it kind of the game was too far along. Like there was no time to add them,
Right.
so then they were added into Brawl.
Yeah. And then they wound up with a lot of other, throughout the years, a lot of other cool third party characters. I mean, Sephiroth and Cloud were added.
Yeah, there's a ton. Even
Yeah.
like Banjo Kazooie, I think,
Yeah,
is considered not a Nintendo character, even though
yeah,
was on
definitely.
Nintendo. They're
Oh, yeah, I
owned by
guess.
Rare, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there was
Or,
a
or whoever owns Rare stuff now.
quite a bit of negotiation.
Microsoft, yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a
Yes.
bit of negotiation to get them in,
Yeah. And
and
then
even Steve
from
from
Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
ton. We don't have to list them all.
Yeah.
No, we're not. But but part of the greatness of this game is all the characters. So we're gonna have to do our,
Yeah,
favorites and all of that later on. But
definitely.
yeah, so all right. So you guys talked about Brawl. I My easy answer. I don't know if it's true gameplay wise, but I really like the most recent Ultimate because it included every character that has ever existed in a Super Smash Brothers game. Whereas in the preceding games, they would sometimes take out characters that were in the prior game and didn't include them. So I just really love the huge roster um, in Ultimate. And it was very smooth. It's on the Switch. I mean, like there are, I guess, things people don't like about it either, but I think the characters are sort of key in this game, and the inclusion of all of them was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, most characters, most stages, most music, most everything. So it definitely has that going for it. I felt like, I mean, obviously we were older when Ultimate came out, but
Yeah,
to me, it really felt like we talked about Brawl, how they introduced all these things that kind of created the variability and didn't favor the most skilled player. I just feel like Ultimate was the ultimate version of that. And
Definitely.
I don't know if there was, I don't know what it was. I don't know if there was a boost for the players that were losing, or if it was just items maybe were more impactful, or it just felt so random.
Yeah, I feel like they did include a lot of stage hazards in it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And some of the weapons I think were just like too OP.
And it
I
really felt to me like if you were losing, you would fly out quicker. I mean, you would,
If you were winning.
if you were winning, you would fly out quicker, and if you were losing, you would like stay on.
which we infamously called Crash Team Racing, but
Yeah.
that might be in a future episode. You never know. But we just felt that in Crash Team Racing, the losing people would always like get all of these boosts to draw them ahead, which is sort of like a copy of Mario Kart anyway, especially new ones. So
Yeah.
there's that little aside. But
Well, you always get the better items, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
also think you were faster.
yeah.
Anyway,
But
The comeback mechanics.
yeah.
yeah.
So that
Yeah.
obviously there was a lot of stages in this level, and some were really fun to play with. Others were a lot,
Yeah, that's another
very
thing I
big
felt
obstacle.
like with Brawl. I just felt like it was other than the speed, I guess, I just felt like it was like the golden mean of everything. Like it was like not so crazy, hyper fast, super competitive, but it still wasn't completely random.
Yeah.
And then like even the stages and the characters, there was a lot of them in there. But especially for the stages, I felt like as the games went on, there were a lot more inclusions of stages that were just not fun to play at all.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100% agree. Like, and
Yeah.
the stages got crazier and crazier as the games went
Yeah.
on.
But there were some of the like, I remember we would even skip a lot of those like really, really big levels because it just felt impossible to knock someone off the level. I'm trying to remember some of the names. I think New Pork City was one of the really huge ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Hyrule Temple.
Well, one of the Hyrule temples, not early on, right? I think
that was the one from Melee that had a little
Mm-hmm.
platform on the bottom.
that was the really big one.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was like the only really big one
yeah.
in Melee.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were some that really did just kind of maybe just enhance the randomness so much. Like there was levels where the level would be side scrolling, so you'd have to like be jumping on platforms along with fighting. And I don't know, I kind of just felt that it was like it's part of the game, deal with it, but I don't know.
That's pretty cool for like casual players who
Yeah.
just like, you know, like for like a party game, you want it to be kind of crazy. So it's like
Yeah.
stuff like that, you know, adds to the, you know, chaos or whatever.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's right. It's important to keep in mind. I really feel like they were trying to do it all. They were trying to make a game that was suitable for as a party game, but also for competitive play.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
I think they did a good
Yeah,
job.
for the
Yeah,
people
me
who
too.
want to get really competitive, you can always pick, you know, your final destination and you get to choose your level. So like you don't have to
Yeah.
like play the random ones. And then even in the latest one, they have it where you can take any level and make it in the style of Final Destination
All
or
right, yeah.
Battlefield.
Was they like Omega level or something they would call it, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
that's cool.
So I remember there was a time that we stood in line at a Best Buy in I think a neighboring state in order to try out. I believe it was Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U.
That's
Like
right.
for like you got to play for like 2 minutes, and it was
Yeah.
like you got a little golden coin, and
Yeah. I
you
still
know,
have that
A
coin.
pin. I have the pin.
oh
I don't know
yeah,
where my coin is.
but
But yeah, we were standing we drove there, standing in
yeah.
the line. It must have been a couple of hours, and we literally played for 3 minutes, maybe.
What did we picked up the game that day, right? Like it was released that
No,
day?
no, that
Oh
was
no.
just
Oh, it was like
like a
No,
before.
no.
pre-release demo, I think.
Yeah.
That was the day that we bought the Wii U in preparation for it.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Yeah.
It's like that was awesome. 2 minutes. I remember it was funny. I remember I chose. I don't know if you guys remember who you chose. Was it the three of us and one other guy, or were we separated?
I believe it was the three of us and
Yeah,
one other.
I thought so too. But
I
so
know
you
who I
got the.
picked.
I know who I picked too. I picked Wii Fit Trainer,
Yeah, I picked Greninja.
Greninja from Pokemon. Pete, do
I
you
was
remember?
Villager. I'm pretty sure.
Villager.
Yeah. Those were all new characters for that game.
Yeah.
And all the characters weren't there for the demo as well, right? It was
Right,
only
yeah.
Right.
8 or
But
10, I think. I don't know.
I remember that they didn't have a GameCube controller, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So like I was like walking off the stage. So I
Yeah,
I spent
yeah.
like a minute and a half of my 2 minutes just like walking off the opposite direction of where I was intending to go. And it was like I've never held a video game controller ever. in my
Yeah,
life.
that's weird because it's like the joystick should still be familiar.
I don't think I literally walked off, but I was just like jumping
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, you were trying to attack and you jumped like
Yeah. 'Cause-
Yeah.
So
I now that you say that, I do remember the controller being unfamiliar, and you had a
Yeah.
very short amount of time to
yeah,
familiarize yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but that was
Yeah,
it
that's
was
cool.
it was a fun day though.
Do you remember who won?
Was it you? I thought it was the random guy.
No, I think
It was me. Yeah.
Oh, it was you? Nice.
But I remember thinking after the match, like, how the hell did I win that?
Well, I feel like Greninja was a better character than Villager and Wii Fit Trainer, so
Yeah.
maybe
I
that's
guess,
why.
but
I don't know.
yeah.
So that was really that was a fun experience that we had with this game.
Yeah, I
hmm.
think for this one, Super Smash Brothers 4 is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Didn't Tom, you and I, didn't we like pick it up at midnight
Yeah.
from
at
the GameStop or something? Yeah.
Oh, so we went all out on that game. We were just like, like really dedicated fans for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for the Switch, so I alluded to it during Tom's initial thoughts, but I basically just bought the Switch for this game, so I have the Super Smash Brothers Ultimate edition of the Switch.
That's
Oh yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
on the
artwork
dock
it.
on the dock it has some artwork. Yeah.
yeah, it's certainly one of Nintendo's like best new era games, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's funny they do all these things with the Wii and the Switch, like with the Joy Cons and the gyroscope technology or whatever. But like, when it's Smash Brothers comes out and it's like, here's the controller, here's the
Yeah.
adapter, like just play like how you used to play in
Yeah.
1992. It's like
2002, but okay.
no, but
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's fun.
just with a wired controller and there's no fancy technology.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, in last week's mid-episode filler Would You Rather question, we asked the question based on the game we were talking about then, which was Smite, the first in our most hours played category. And we asked a Would You Rather question regarding 3 of the gods in that game. Specifically, would you rather A, party with the god of wine Bacchus, B, spend all day with cats and kittens with the goddess of cats Bastet, or C, go fishing with Poseidon, the god of the sea? And we got some responses on our social media, and with an overwhelming majority of the votes, fishing with Poseidon came out on top. And I am interested as to why. We haven't really gotten responses on the why, but that is the winner. What do you guys think as far as this question? What would you pick?
I'll go. So I'm gonna go with the crowd on this one, actually, and I'm gonna choose go fishing with Poseidon. Now, I'm not really a fishing person. I mean, or an outdoors person for that matter. But I've never been fishing, and a lot of people seem to like it and feel that it's a relaxing kind of activity. So I think I would like to give it a try, and I think Poseidon would be a good companion for that trip.
All right, Pete, what say you?
That's interesting. I kind of had a similar thought process, but in trying to rule some of these out, partying with Bacchus sure sounds fun, but I feel like for me, it'd be a little too exhausting. Like maybe if I was still in my 20s, I would vote for that one. And then playing with cats, I have a cat. I have an awesome cat, so I get to play with him every day. So that's not that appealing to me. So I actually agree with Tom and the listeners. Just a lot of similar reasons. It sounds relaxing, and also maybe pick up a new skill, fishing.
All right, well, I'm going to go with the least vote getting category, and that would be play with cats with Bastet all day. And it's more of a I like cats. I have cats, so I do have cats that I could play with without the aid of the goddess of cats, but it might be fun to hang out with some others. Not a big partier, so the Bacchus one kind of came off my list. And I'm not opposed to fishing, and I have done it a couple of times in my life, but I just feel like with Poseidon, I don't know, you guys took the route that he'd be a good companion, but I feel he'd be a little too like rough in the water and like maybe cause some big waves and capsizing boats and stuff like that. So kind of want to steer clear of that. So I'm hanging out with Bastet. All right. Well, thank you for all that participated. You can catch us on our social media on X and Instagram at Bros Boss Battles. That's BROS Boss Battles. On our YouTube page, Twitch account of the same handle. You can visit our website at brothersandbossbattles.com or drop us a comment wherever you get this podcast. All right, back to the regular episode. All right, everyone. We were just had our mid-episode filler Would You Rather responses, and now we're going to get back to talking on Super Smash Brothers.
There's one other random thing I wanted to throw out since we're kind of not on any particular topic. And then this again goes to sort of, well, actually, I'm going to backtrack that. But do you guys remember, Tom, I think you do, for Brawl, they had like an official website called Smash Bros Dojo. And
that was
That was what?
No, it was awesome
Yeah.
because like in those days, it wasn't like you had all this information coming in about leaks and data mining and well, data mining wouldn't apply here because the game wasn't out yet, but um, like so. Basically, to finish your thought, every day they would reveal a new aspect of the game. So, be it a new character or a new item. I think this was even when they started announcing the assist trophies too.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think stages were in it as well.
Hmm.
But it's like every day, like
Yeah,
yeah,
every weekday. Yeah.
I remember like rushing down to the computer and like going on AOL, whatever we had back then, and yeah, like being like, oh, I wonder what they added today.
Yeah, and a lot of times I was disappointed. And like when it was like a new character or something, I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah, brought the hype.
Yeah. I thought that was really, really great.
Yeah.
Great idea, great marketing. I don't know how many people were aware of it, but
So maybe not great marketing, but
great hyping.
yeah,
Great
yeah,
I'm
hyping for
sure.
the game.
yeah.
I'm
I'm sure
sure
a lot of people.
anyone in the know or who wanted to know about it knew about it.
I kind of want to talk about the music in this game because I felt it was very good in the sense that each level had music from its particular game. Whether that be sort of like really basic beeps and boops, like with Game and Watch's level, or some of the more interesting songs like Donkey Kong, or songs from Earthbound with Ness's level and on it or won it. So I thought it was
Yeah,
really cool.
definitely. My favorite is Kirby.
I don't
The
remember
music.
that. Yeah,
Oh, I'm not, I won't hum it, but
that's my job.
yeah. But yeah, that just goes to everything else. We were talking about characters and stuff, but the music too. There's just so
Yeah,
much of it and
yeah, and it
from all
was
the
really
different games.
yeah, it was from every game. I remember the Pokemon Stadium music, or the Pokemon music was really
Yeah,
good
yeah.
too. Like I really like. Oh, that was like that level sticks out to me like from the best, just for like the music and the hazards and the look of it was just one of my favorite levels in
Yeah,
all of Super Smash Brothers.
that was a good level because
Yeah.
there was some like stage variation, but it
Yeah,
wasn't like overwhelming or anything
right.
like that.
Yeah, that was a cool like unique level without being too random.
Yeah, but yeah, the music was great. I mean, even like in the later games when they started to add these like third party characters,
Hmm.
they had music from their
Yeah.
respective games, and good quality, like good remixes of the originals and stuff. So yeah, it was cool.
Was your second favorite level Poke Floats? Remember that level?
I do, yeah. It was like basically floats of
Giant, yeah.
well, various sized like
Yeah.
Pokemon floats. Yeah, but that was one of those side-scrolling levels, right?
Well, that was kind of like,
Oh, vertical.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that was kind of dumb.
yeah. It
I
was cool. Hmm?
favored the characters with good aerial attacks.
Yeah, exactly. So do you want to? So we have a lot of interesting sort of brothers and boss battles nostalgia for this game, and I don't know if you guys want to talk about our quote unquote league that we had.
Oh, yeah.
And the character. I know we're going to talk about it. You want to talk about it now, or do you want to talk more about like general
No,
stuff about the game?
Well, you brought it up, so let's talk about it.
All right. So I don't know. Do you guys want to explain the league?
Yeah, we could all chip
Yeah.
in. So I'll start. So how we started the inaugural season of said leagues was we would each assign the characters a certain value, and
Right.
we called it millions of dollars, right? From
Yeah,
1 to 5, I think
We-
it was.
And we came to a consensus on that.
Yeah,
And
based
this
on,
started with Melee. We didn't do
Right,
this for
that's right.
the N64 original version.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so then basically once all the characters were assigned a dollar value based on how good we felt they were, how strong they were as characters, we, through some mathematics, some margin, we assigned the three of us like a salary cap. So it was kind of like
Right. But it was all equal at first.
all equal.
That,
Yeah.
that first level, we would like pick like an overall amount and then divide it by 3 essentially.
And then we would just do a draft. So we go,
Right.
one by one drafting, considering trying to stay under that salary cap,
Right.
but
And then we
also
would
wanting the strongest characters.
right. So like trying to build a team like in any sports league where you might have a salary cap where, you can't have 10 superstars at every position kind of a thing.
Yeah, so then we would set our lineups.
Yeah.
The first character was who we
The
felt was
aces.
the aces, who we felt was the strongest, and then it would go to the weakest, and then we would play through that lineup for
Like
maybe
10 times,
about
12
10 rounds.
times. Yeah.
Yes,
And like it would
And-
be the three of us and a CPU. It wasn't like just the three of us.
yeah, right, and that was to try to eliminate the like. I knock Ann off, and then Tom comes from behind and knocks me off.
Yeah,
The CPU kind of added at least a little wrinkle to that
Right. And we always put it at the highest level that
difficulty level. Yeah.
difficulty level so that they would be competitive. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
So then there were basically some formulas to kind of determine if a particular character would increase or decrease or stay the same in value the next
Right.
year.
right. So if we played 12 rounds and they got like 6 or more wins, they would like go up 0.5, 500,000 in their salary allowance or whatever, or their market. And if they lost like, if they won only 1 or 2 matches, they would go down. And if they won like between 2 and 6, they would stay the same. I think we varied that up in subsequent years where we did like 0.5 and then 1. If you won like 90% of your matches, you would go up a whole quote unquote million and all of that. But
Yeah, there's definitely variability from the games
Right.
and even just from years within the same
Yeah.
game.
and then we did that so the characters would, be able to, again, quote unquote, make more money or less money based on their performance, like a regular athlete. But then us as quote unquote owners would get like more money or less money to spend on those characters, like based on how well our team did for the year.
Yeah, and that was on a round by round basis. So if you won the round, you would go up 0.5. If you were in the middle, you'd stay the same. And then if you lost the round, you would go down 0.5. And then you just add up each rounds at the end of the season.
Right. So it, I remember it eventually resulted in some bailouts when like one of us, who I don't remember who, would like
Yeah,
lose a bunch of rounds and not have enough money
not have enough
to
money.
like to field a complete team.
There'd be like 2 empty spots in the bottom of the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a few like resets. Like after however
Yeah.
many years, we would
Right.
kind of reset and start over.
But also part of something that contributed to the bailouts was that we were able to bid on characters in the free agent period.
Right. So some
every
of them
year
would
was-
like make insane amounts of money.
Yeah, so like if you really wanted a character, you can offer them, well above their stated salary.
Earned value. Yeah. And then if ever there was a draw, it would go back to whoever had them
Right.
the
They would-
previous year.
Right.
But
it was
then
fun.
we-
It sounds really nerdy, but it actually was
No,
really,
it's
really
so fun. Yeah, and we also, I mean, like maybe only sports fans could appreciate this, but then there was some like, we would call the characters rightfully ours, like rightfully mine, and then there was some kind of stealing, quote unquote, going on. If
Yeah.
they were outbid, so then we added the element of unrestricted free agents. Oh no, restricted free agents.
Right. It's
So-
almost like I actually don't know this, but like a franchise tag in football or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
exactly
Yeah.
exactly analogous.
Right.
So there was many of the times maybe 2 characters. So
Hint, hint.
go on. So each of us had 2 characters that we could slap the like franchise tag on.
Right.
Where so like they wouldn't go into a bidding free agent process, but we would like have to their salary would not arbitrarily, but automatically increase by
Like
a
a
million
Yeah,
or whatever it
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
So we had to pay them a little bit of premium, but
Yeah.
we
You
were
got to-
protecting ourselves. We got to keep them, and they weren't going to be jacked up, as we would say.
Yeah.
The price wouldn't be jacked up so high.
But Yeah, it was always fun. Like it always hurts so bad to lose like a one of your favorite characters, like because you just didn't have enough money, or you just like wanted to field a different kind of team. So that was, I don't know, we just had so much fun, and like make doing the drafts and doing all this. It was almost like just as fun as playing the game. It was just like it
Yeah.
was great all around.
The one of the best parts was like the reveal of the lineups. So after we
Yeah,
got our team at the start of each year, we would each blindly set our lineups,
right,
from ace to worst, and
right.
then we would reveal, and then we could see who was getting matched up against who.
Yeah, because sometimes characters would be better against certain other characters, so we didn't want to have that sort of benefit to any one or the other. So it's just like set your team like you would, but based on your version of what's best to worst, and that wound up being fun.
Yeah,
I remember,
but
yeah,
so initially, when we were talking about how each round, the person who did the best would go up point 0.5, whatever. So initially, it was just based on wins, right? So if there was 10 matches in a round and I won 4 matches, Tom won 3, and Ant won 2, then I would go up, Tom would stay the same, Ant would go down. But then in later years, we changed that to be a point system. So for each match, you got 4 points for winning, 2 points for coming in second, 1 point for coming in third, and 0 points for coming in fourth. And then you would just add up your point total at the end of the round. So what that tried to do is like if you were coming in second every time, give you some, you know, distinction
hmm
compared to the person coming in third or fourth every time.
right, right. Yeah, so it was just hours of fun,
Yeah,
hours and hours and hours.
yeah, it got really advanced. In depth, and even
Yeah.
like with the spreadsheets and
hmm
whatnot, and a bunch of
Yeah, yeah.
tables. Yeah.
Yeah, just
At the
having to keep
end,
track of everyone's winning and
at the end, I made some like macros so it could like automatically populate some stuff and count up like the scores at the end of the year. So on Excel, so that was kind of cool.
it was
Yeah,
fun.
so I did have so I have my old computer that I got sometime between the release of Brawl and the release of Super Smash Bros. 4. So I did have some old spreadsheets that I was able to retrieve.
Ooh.
So for the basic, well, so for Melee we just use paper and pencil. I'm pretty sure. But for Brawl, the spreadsheet that I had 11 seasons. So it's pretty nice long franchise.
Yeah.
Um, by the end of the 11 seasons, the salary caps were as follows. And the magnitude of the numbers probably don't mean anything, but the relations between the three numbers
I was
do
gonna
mean
say because
something.
we don't know what the starting was,
Yeah. But
but
Ant had 37 million. I had 48 million, and Tom had 57 million. So quite a big
That's
disparity.
that's what I
my
would have expected.
my ace was Jigglypuff that last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I had a spreadsheet with the Wii U Super Smash Bros. 4. There was only 4.5 seasons on that spreadsheet.
Mm.
And again, this might have been sort of after we restarted or something. I don't know, the franchise. But the thing that I noted down here was at the start of season 3, we moved to that new point system that I was talking about.
Okay.
And okay, so actually I misspoke. There was 7.5 seasons, but after there was 4.5 seasons after we moved to that new point system. So I'm kind of taking the data that I want to talk about only, which is after we went to that new point system. But cumulatively, total points, Ant had 1,253. Okay, so 1,253. Tom had 1,364. And then I had 1,350.
Oh.
So Tom was 8% better than Ant and 1% better than me based on those values.
Fair.
A rounding error.
Exactly. That's like not even a statistically significant difference.
Anyway, that's really cool. That's cool you found those.
You can see, folks, as the years went on, the games got more random
Yeah.
and stupid, and that's why.
Actually, okay, since you brought it up real quick for
Let me get
Ultimate.
some pen and paper that I found from Melee here.
No, for Ultimate, we only had 2 years recorded, and I think actually we only had 1.5 years recorded. Now the years were a little longer because there's so many characters, but
Yeah.
also we didn't play this one as much. It was just
Right.
hard to get together.
Yeah.
So just again, real quick, point total for year one. Ant had 347, I had 400, and Tom had 427.
Mm.
And then in year two, again, this was only a partial season. Ant had 102, I had 117, and Tom had 124. So Tom brought the gap back up a little bit from the Wii U days, but probably not as much as the Brawl days.
Yeah.
That probably would have leveled out a little bit if we had continued.
Why do you say that?
I don't feel that I was good in Ultimate.
Yeah,
Like even like
more random.
as just like an anecdote. Like whenever I would play with my friends, the games like the Wii U game, like I would like completely obliterate them. Like every single match, I was playing random and like just like beating them every single match. And then when we got to Ultimate, like
It wasn't that way.
You didn't win every
it
match.
wasn't. I didn't win every match. Yeah, and like the matches that I did win, I wasn't like completely crushing them. So
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
they
just-
definitely added randomness and
yeah, but I mean, we never really played with items either. It just I don't know. It was something about that game just felt off to me.
I'm telling you, I really felt like if you were in the lead, you would fly off.
It's like you get out with like
safety.
40% damage. It's like-
Yeah, I mean, it's
So-
not like it's not like they were like practicing so much and I
Yeah,
wasn't.
yeah,
Like so. I just don't know what the explanation is. I mean, I really feel like with the Switch controller, there's a bunch of input lag, which
yeah. Yeah, the Switch
just doesn't work in a game like this where you need.
Wait,
to
so
be
you were
like,
using the Joy-Con?
No. Sorry, I mean the Switch console
okay.
itself has like this
Yes.
intrinsic input lag based on whatever controller you're using. Yeah, and I mean I definitely noticed it while playing, and it makes a game like this really hard to play.
Yeah, a lot less enjoyable. Do you remember, just real quick, do you remember I was complaining or I was mad about, I guess I was like winning a match and then I felt like this sort of thing was happening. And then I said, it's good to be bad. And then Ant, you started singing it to Tip to Be Square.
Tip to be square. Yeah.
It's good to be bad. It's so funny.
Hip to be square by Huey Lewis and the News.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. So funny. So I did want to talk like Ultimate sort of introduced this just because of the era it came out and like the more online play. I'm not sure if that was the first one with it, but it was the first one with really. Well, go ahead, Tom.
No, the Wii U one had. So.
Yeah, but I felt like the Switch one was really where it was a little bit more, or at least it was supposed to be like really. You could play online and remotely and all of that. But
yeah, I mean, I never played Wii U online.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, so
I play that online with my friends a lot.
Oh, all right. How was it? Was it better than the Switch one? Because the Switch
Honestly, I think it was.
because the Switch one, like you couldn't do the chat, and then like there was a ton of lag sometimes, and I just think the matchmaking was poor.
That was, I think in the Wii U one as well. Like if one player had bad internet, like everybody suffered. I think.
Oh yeah, I think that's right.
So
yeah,
we didn't play a ton of the online in Switch, but I remember. So you could really, if you were going to do like team battles, you could do 2-on-2. So I remember me and Pete kind of teamed up a lot. I mean, for a lot by whatever extent we played online too.
Yeah,
and we had some pretty fun matches. I remember
it was fun and it was competitive.
Yeah, and we had like a good combo of characters. I would be like Simon or Richter Belmont from the Castlevania series, and Pete would be one of his all-time faves in the Samus.
Yeah,
and it was just a great combo because like the Belmont's whips were like very long in that game, and then Pete would use the like Samus's like main blaster thing.
Yeah.
The only move that he ever used.
Yeah,
was
so
Samus.
I was able
That's
to
not
like
true.
I was able to keep the like everyone at bay like just with the whips, and then he was able to charge it up all the
Yeah.
time and like shoot it out across the screen. So like we had some pretty good success. Like
Yeah, it's funny. I'm glad you remember that because I remember that too. That was cool. That's
yeah, it
fun.
was fun. I just wish it was better. I would love to play that game more online. And like I don't know, like the ultimate, like you were able to use like so many characters if you were like playing couch, but I don't think you like couch co-op, but I don't think you could like couldn't you have like 12 players or something like at once? Or 12 characters
Was
at
it
least on
8?
this. 8 maybe. But like
I think so. I think that's
It was
true.
yeah, it was some number greater than 4,
Yeah.
well yeah. But like
6 or 8. Yeah,
you couldn't do that like online.
Yeah, and I also remember you couldn't like have a CPU player online or something. Like, so we were thinking about kind of doing this
Right.
league,
Right, doing
you
our
know,
league. Yeah.
remotely, and
Right.
I think we maybe
yeah.
tried it once or twice, and we didn't have the CPU player.
Yeah, which
It
kind
was
of
like
threw off
that's like
like
a
our whole league.
stupid restriction, you know, like
Yeah,
for the online stuff.
it's unfortunate because I felt like that kind of killed it for us. Like if we were able to play online, I mean, I think, and it was like good online, we could have kept this going.
Yeah, if it was on Xbox or PlayStation, like
It's unfortunate because it's like we, even with we haven't really played this much in years, but like it was we still have thousands of hours played with that. But the other thing I kind of wanted to mention was like a lot of I think one of the reasons why I like Ultimate though is because I felt like it's sort of the play by yourself mode was like cool in the sense that Tom mentioned how Nintendo Switch doesn't have achievements or trophies anymore, but within this game you could unlock like puzzle pieces that would show a picture, and you could do different things to like you had to get 5 KOs a certain way with Marth or whatever to unlock this picture. Like some are easy, some are hard, just like trophies or achievements in PlayStation or Xbox. So like I thought that was a really cool addition to the game.
the single player was cool. Well, it was cool. I like the single player the best in that game than any other of the Smash Brothers games.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing with the spirits got a little
Yeah.
not great for me because it would kind of like as you leveled up, you would kind of get powered up and you would assign different spirits to your whatever character you were using.
Yeah. Yeah. A little too much.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just trying to again add more characters, but
Yeah. Since we're talking about Ultimate again, I wanted to bring up that that was another game that was a midnight release purchase for us. I remember, I was so hyped up. I stayed up all night playing it, and like I had already like preemptively taken the day off of work the next day. Like that's how excited I was to play this game.
Yeah, you're right. I did the same thing. So I downloaded it because I had the ultimate version of the Switch at midnight and took off the next day. Yeah.
Did you stay up like
Yeah,
to 3 a.m. and play?
I don't know if it was 3 a.m., but I stayed up to play it for maybe an hour.
Yeah, okay.
And then I woke up probably at 7 a.m. the next day and
Started playing.
played it all day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun at first.
Yeah, it was cool. Another thing we need to mention, and I don't know, I associate this with Smash Brothers, is the amiibos.
Mm. Yeah, Tom, you had a few of those.
Yeah, you can see them right behind me.
You collected them. We never really used them in the game.
Yeah,
though,
yeah.
right?
I literally never used one. Yeah, in the
Because
game.
I feel like that was almost kind of like the spirits. But that's what triggered my memory to some extent, right? Like you get stronger as you level up, kind of thing. If you're using the amiibo, or isn't that kind of the idea?
I think you can like strengthen up the base characters pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it'd be a good time to talk about like our favorites of this game, as far as characters. If you want to throw in items or assist trophies or levels, we've alluded to a few, but there's just so many, and haven't really talked about our main characters, which I think is important or fun or whatever.
It is fun, yeah.
Yeah. Like some of those characters that I loathed to lose to you guys when my salary kept dropping.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned for me, Samus really turned into like my eighth,
Which
and
was so weird because like I don't feel like she was such a like great character to a lot of people, but he really like put in the time and became like
Yeah, if you just
really
hide and charge up your gun the whole match and don't ever like try
it
to fight
was
anyone,
no, it was a
then
lot
yeah,
more than
it's
that
pretty
because
good.
I was really able to use like this spacing techniques, and I used a lot of all the moves, not just one.
yeah.
And then didn't they make Dark Samus in Ultimate or something?
Yeah,
Mark.
that was
Like a clone, basically,
Oh
clone
yeah.
character. So
So
I had two of
yeah,
them.
two Samuses.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was the thing. There were some characters that were just clones, but like the quote unquote dark version of the main character. So they had that with one of my favorite characters, which was Pit, from Kid Icarus, which they added in one of the later series. I think was that first on the Wii U one? Does anyone know?
that he was one of the
I
big
have
ones
it.
for Brawl.
Oh,
He
he
was
was in Brawl. Okay, yeah.
one of the
So
big like new characters.
yeah, so I really liked him. He was one of my favorites to use. I mentioned the Belmonts, Simon and Richter. Um, they're both similar. I kind of gravitated towards Richter just because I feel I look a little bit more like him than Simon Belmont. So I liked using him, but again, he was a later game. He wasn't until Ultimate, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So and then so those are two of my favorites. Pete, you also another character that's really hard to use that you were pretty good with was Ness
Yeah,
from
that's right. He was
Earthbound.
one of my favorites as well. And the only problem with him was occasionally you get a level where there was like somewhere you could fall that was very like narrow, and
Right.
then he didn't really have the big enough to, the recovery move to get up because he had to shoot out that his
Yeah.
attack and hit himself with it.
Right. Right. Yeah. In
So
order to yeah, it just
like
so that was
I
an
just felt like he
important.
couldn't be an ace. Like an ace has to come
Yeah.
through no matter what,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he was a little limited if you got
Right.
into an unlucky level for him.
But I found him very difficult to use, and you were pretty good with him. It just to get up back onto the level, which was a key in one of these knockout games like this. That was kind of important, and yeah,
Yeah.
you were pretty good with him.
Thank you, thank you. I also want to mention Donkey Kong. I felt
Yes.
like as he was one of my favorites early on, and then I just felt like he got worse and worse in every game.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why,
Uh,
but he
yeah.
like moved down my lineup. Like he kind of aged out.
Yeah.
And
Well,
he,
he was an ace for you for a while, and then
yeah,
and then he kept like he was just sort of that veteran presence, but wasn't really a good anymore.
he was like the Bartolo Colon
Anyway,
in his
we're
later
going
years.
too much into the sports references. Come on. Uh, so one of the characters that I liked was sort of the opposite of that, I feel, which was Bowser, who like kind of started off when whatever game he was initially a part of, kind
Melee.
of not that, yeah, melee, not that great. And then like by the time Ultimate rolled around, I felt like he was almost like an ace.
He definitely, in my opinion, got better
Yeah.
too as the
Yeah,
games went on.
I feel like they at some point made those very slow, strong characters like better by making them actually strong, where they can like
Yeah.
KO people with low percentages.
Yeah. Tom, what about you?
Yeah, so I mean, my main throughout the years was always Fox.
Oh, right. Yeah. You had the whole Star Fox crew, I feel.
And I
Yeah,
hated
I used Falco a lot, and Wolf was he was cool. He played a little different. He was like a little bit stronger and slower,
Yeah.
but generally like more or less the same moveset.
Right.
And I remember hating Fox, going against Fox because he had that stupid up. That was up smash attack, right?
Yeah,
That where he like kicked, but he had like it had a very large
Hitbox.
hit. Yeah, is that what they call a
yeah,
hitbox?
because he could hit you from if you're in front of
Forward,
him,
yeah.
if you're above him, and even behind.
Exactly.
every direction.
And that's not all. Not only could he hit the character, but they would go up. So it didn't matter if you were kind of, a lot of the game was kind of positioning yourself. And if you were all the way to the left of the stage, you wanted to be, on the right side of the character, so you could try to knock them right off.
Right.
Whereas with Fox, it didn't really matter where you were situated because if you got hit and you were going up, and if you had a decently high percentage, you were, had a good chance of going out. So I really hated going against them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
Yeah, I was really good with him where I just kind of like seamlessly ran, like dashed in
Yeah.
and did it like very
Yeah.
seamlessly. So yeah. So he was one of my favorites, but he was another one who like got really weak in Ultimate.
yeah.
I'm looking at the tier lists. He was the highest tiered character in Melee.
Yeah. I feel like well, now that you have it up, I'm curious, but like I feel like the highest tiered characters in that game are all the really fast ones, like Captain Falcon and Sheik.
Oh,
No,
I think
the
I heard
S
Sheik was pretty high up.
yeah, Sheik is 5, so that's the first one in the A tier. But the S tier was Fox, looks like Marth, Jigglypuff, and Falco.
I never felt like Jigglypuff was ever good. Like maybe like the pro players or
I
like
Yeah,
think
the
so,
good
yeah.
players know how to use Jigglypuff.
That was like, I think, the same with Olimar, maybe. Like, he was always like at the bottom of our lineups, but
I kind of liked Olimar. He was sort of my guy for a while, but like sort of rounded out my rotation.
yeah.
But he wasn't horrible. But yeah, yeah. Captain
Yeah.
Falcon. Now that you mention him, I always liked him. And then his corollary move set was with Ganondorf from Legend of Zelda games. So like I liked him too. I remember one, but he's another guy that I think got weak. Or did he get weak and then strong again in the last one? He
He
didn't.
was pretty strong in Ultimate, I
Yeah,
think.
so
Yeah.
they might have nerfed him and then brought him back up again.
Yeah. Tom, your assessment is pretty spot on about how the powerful, heavy characters, I feel like in Ultimate, they finally made them like viable.
Yeah, and even like King K. Rool
Mm.
Yeah.
and
He was cool.
even King DDD was
Mhm.
pretty good.
All right, we'll continue this in a brief moment. We're just going to take a quick break. All right, we have another mid-episode filler segment. This time we're going to be asking a would you rather question based on today's game, Super Smash Brothers. And we'd like to do another 3-part would you rather, and here it goes. Would you rather go ice fishing with the Ice Climbers, do a workout with Wii Fit Trainer, or sing karaoke with Jigglypuff? Hit us up on Instagram and X at Bros Boss Battles. That's BROS Boss Battles. Drop a comment on our website, brothersandbossbattles.com, or wherever you get this podcast. All right, back to the regular episode where we're finishing up our discussion on the Super Smash Brothers series. All right, before the mid-episode filler, we were just talking about some of our favorite characters in this game. If no one else had anything to add to that, would you want to throw any of your other favorites out? Either items, levels, so forth and so on.
I really like the Pokeballs.
Yeah, the Pokeballs are fun. We're especially you guys, but we were all Pokemon fans to a certain extent. It was always cool to see which
Yeah.
Pokemon would pop out of the Pokeball.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you get a go on, sometimes you get a dud.
There were a couple
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say they had Goldeen, which should have been a Magikarp because it just
Yeah.
flopped around and did nothing.
Right. Yeah. Then there were a couple of like one-hit KO items throughout the years. There was the infamous baseball bat.
Yeah, the home run bat, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That one was cool though because you really had to charge it up and time it.
Yeah.
So like there was a risk involved.
Yeah, and skill. Yeah.
The other one I sort of remember. So there was the like Donkey Kong hammer. That wasn't necessarily a one-hit KO, but it usually was.
Yeah, if not a one-hit KO, it was kind of like you were going to get hit like a couple of times and go out.
Yeah. And then there was the Dragoon.
Yeah, that was fun.
Does anyone
That was
remember
kinda
what game
cool.
that was from? That F-Zero or something? I don't know.
I don't know, but you had to collect the 3 pieces, right?
Yeah, that was cool.
And then, sometimes if you collect 1 or 2 and then you get hit, you drop it. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like that wound up becoming like easy to dodge though after a while.
Yeah, it was possible to dodge for sure. So that was cool about it. So first of all, you had to get the three pieces, so that's tough to do. Then it wasn't like an automatic. Like it
Yeah, you
could be
still had to
dodged.
aim the shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
Dragoon hails from Kirby Air Ride.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was trying to look it up, but wasn't finding it. Some of the assist trophies were fun too.
Yeah, a lot of them were fun.
I think there was a Starman from Earthbound. That was one of them.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, that one was kind of cool because he would like teleport around the stage and like shoot out um something to
Like
hit
stars or
people and
something.
just start. Yeah, that was cool. That one I always remembered using. And there was some we had like stupid names for a lot of them because we didn't like know every character. Like I don't know, there was that big face. What was the name of that guy?
That
There was
was
a big
Andros from
Oh
Star
yeah.
Fox.
yeah, but I felt like we called him something like dumb. I don't know. Or there was some characters that we had dumb names. I don't know. Maybe it's not safe for
I,
TV. I don't know.
I don't, I don't doubt that at all, but I can't recall any of them
Yeah.
off the top.
Well, for that one you just referenced from Earthbound,
Starman.
Did we call it Slender Man?
Oh, we called it Slender Man. Yeah, because we none of us played Earthbound back in the day, so we really weren't familiar with the characters. I mean, obviously Ness and stuff, but so that was yes, we called him Slender Man.
Jeff was also in as an assist
Yeah.
trophy,
Oh,
Yeah,
and we
he
called
was?
him JJ and Jeff.
And Jeff.
So
Yeah,
we
he
were
shoot out
kind of
the
right.
rockets, the bottle
Yeah.
rockets.
Oh, wow. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. No,
That is cool.
the assist trophies were really cool. Just remember, then they had like the Excite bike where like the bikes would
Yeah,
go across
right.
the
And like sort
screen.
of knock you off the screen. Yeah.
And then they had, what was that dog game?
Nintendogs.
Nintendogs, yes, of course. And then he would like cover up the screen. The
Yeah,
puppy.
Yeah. And there was one item that would like get you and then carry you off the stage. Wasn't it like a truck or a bus or something?
Oh, I think it was a bus.
Yeah. And it was
Yeah,
like
I remember that
hard to
now.
break out of that.
Yeah,
I don't know what game that was from, but yeah.
yeah, I remember that though.
There were, yeah. Some were really powerful to get, like when you got them. Oh, and then there was like another like ninja like character that would like turn the screen like dark and it would hit the whichever one was closest to it. It was like that was like almost like a one hit KO.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think that may have been a Fire Emblem character.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, that was the other thing we didn't talk about. Like they went crazy with the amount of Fire Emblem characters that were added to this game, which I know is a huge series, but like not so much. I mean, I think it's huger
Yeah,
in Japan, but
Yeah, I don't think it was really a huge series
oh, at all.
until
Oh, I
they
thought it-
put until they put Martha Roy in Melee.
well, Martha Rourke, but then they added Ike, and then they
Yeah.
added like
Robin,
Robin, and something with an L.
Lucina.
Lucina, yeah.
Yeah, and then
What
the
about
latest,
Chrome?
Yeah, that was an
Yeah.
ultimate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Blyleth.
Oh, Blyla.
It was just a lot of characters. I mean, they did change them up
Corrin, I
eventually.
think.
Corrin, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of like those, like three of them, like Morthroy, Lucina, really all played exactly the same, pretty much.
Yeah, Ike was cool because he was sort of like the slower, stronger one. I remember Pete, you used him for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I did at first, and I think Tom eventually took them. I'm glad we brought this up. We mentioned Martha and Roy 'cause I wanted to bring this up. I feel like Martha and Roy were kind of we all had like were familiar with, and we could use them and be pretty decent with them. I don't know if you guys agree with that assessment, but
I like Martha and Roy, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I never really had him, but yeah.
they weren't like the hardest to use characters.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think Nintendo kind of like included certain characters to boost sales of other games. Like I feel like,
Yeah.
I feel like that was definitely the case with Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why,
Yeah.
they decided to include so many characters, for financial gain.
So what else do you guys think? Any other comments or things we need to cover on this, or
I don't know. There was on the internet just cool things where like characters that were I like they call them like label them like considered or if they were more seriously considered, I guess then they call them like scrapped or whatever. But, like consider might mean like someone brought them up in a meet like this character up in a meeting once and it was like immediately shot down. So like I don't know if I want to talk about those, but you can find them online. But there is something for Brawl. There's a group of characters known as the Forbidden Seven. I don't know if you
Ooh.
guys heard of that. But basically, I guess in the code, there's unused data for 7 characters.
Oh.
So a lot of them are familiar. Dr. Mario, Mewtwo, Roy.
which we should just say that like were characters in Melee, right?
Right.
Yeah. So they just that goes to what we mentioned before that some characters were dropped, and that's why Ultimate then added all of them in. But like these weren't like brand new. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And there was Toon Zelda.
Oh, Toon Zelda, because Toon Link was in the game.
Yeah, then a Toon Sheik, which
Okay.
people speculate, this was kind of how they were labeled in the code. People were speculating to actually be Tetra, character called Tetra from the Legend of Zelda series.
From Wind Waker, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And now this is where it gets a little more interesting. There was Dixie Kong, and supposedly it was going to be sort of like almost like a Pokemon trainer, like a tag team mechanism with Dixie and Diddy.
Ah.
But then that got scrapped, and I guess just Diddy was included as a standalone character.
That's interesting. Yeah, there was. So, go ahead.
Well, do you have something on Diddy or something?
No, not specifically, but I just feel like there was always so much fan discussion about characters they want to see or wanted to see in the game as playable eventually. And it's like some of them eventually came, but there's one in particular that people were always clamoring for that I'll mention later, but I don't want to interrupt your
sure
train of thought.
And then there's one more. In the code it was named as pra_mai, so PRA_MAI in the code. And the speculation is that was supposed to be the Pokemon Plusle and Minimum. And basically, pra and mai are the first syllables of those 2 characters in their Japanese version of their names. So I wonder if that was going to be another sort of tag team kind of mechanism or something. But apparently the code was empty. It was just basically the name placeholder and nothing else. So another thing I had read was, to nobody's surprise, Mewtwo and Roy were the furthest developed of these Forbidden 7.
I mean, they were eventually added back, so I kind of feel like it's not; those aren't like a huge surprise. It was just like
exactly they were in the previous game and they eventually came back. So.
Right. There was always so much clamoring for Waluigi to be added as a playable character amongst like the fans, and I guess just because so many other Mario-based characters are in it: Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Yoshi, Bowser. Wario, so but the Waluigi was an assist trophy though, so that kind of would have been like silly to have like both in there. So,
well, they could have just took out the assist trophy. I don't even know if that assist trophy was in Ultimate or not. I don't remember. But do you know if there any official word as to why they didn't include him in Ultimate? Because naturally, they had no. It's like this was such like an internet thing. Like everybody wanted Waluigi,
right?
And then they did all these DLCs like packages. So like people were thinking he was,
like PD Piranha wound up getting in and not Waluigi.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe they couldn't come up with a moveset for him because he basically didn't do anything in any of the games.
They could have did anything though. They could have gave him a tennis racket. Like
He could use his stomp that he uses the assist trophy as like one of his moves.
They could have come up with something for sure.
Yeah, well, there's always the inevitable next Smash Bros. Game. Maybe they'll add him finally.
I feel like with this game they keep
Ultimate
saying, they keep saying like, oh, it's the last Smash Brothers, and then it's like. They'll get Masahiro Sakurai back and like say, okay, you could do it.
He'll be on his deathbed and they'll be like,
can you lead this?
for the Switch 10 and
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Switch 2 is announced. Pre-orders are available, so we'll
Yeah.
see if
Or
the
I
new Super
think
Smash
I
Bros.
told you about that, right? I got an email from GameStop. I don't think it was pre-orders were available. I think it was get on the mailing list to be the first to
Oh, okay.
pre-order it.
yeah,
Yeah.
in April they're going to do a big Nintendo Direct where I'm sure they'll reveal the release date and some games that are will
Mhm.
be available at launch. I feel like there's a strong possibility that they'll make a new Smash Bros game, or maybe like they'll do Smash Ultimate, like director's cut or whatever, and add a couple of more characters and stages and items and whatnot.
That might be
That'd be
where
kind of lame.
Waluigi gets.
So I feel like they set the bar now where it's like they had every character from all the previous Smash games. So
Yeah.
to not
Yeah.
do that for the next game would be a letdown for people.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure at the time Ultimate was, you know, coming out, I thought they were basically claiming that it was going to be the final one, the ultimate one.
I kind of feel like that's been said before, though, with this series.
Yeah, I thought so too. I
Okay.
thought they also may have said that about the Wii U game.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
never know. Like we mentioned, it is a game that sells consoles. So but I just don't know if at this point they can differentiate it enough to like get people to buy it and a Switch too. But I'm sure there'll be, there's Nintendo fans, and people are gonna want the new Mario game, the new Zelda game, and whatever. So you never know.
Yeah, I don't think the Switch 2 will have any problems with sales, but
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope there's a new Smash Brothers.
yeah, I hope the Switch 2 is capable of not having input lag.
Yeah, well, or having a functional online system.
Yes.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
do that, then it will sell well, and you can make almost the same game with maybe a few more characters and tweaks, and I think it will sell well,
Yeah.
which would be cool. I would get it. I would. I
Yeah,
mean
me
that
too.
that would that would make me get a Switch too, and then maybe we could play that like together online.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
yeah, same.
All right, you guys want to do final thoughts or anything else? Final thoughts. It is.
Final thoughts.
Who wants to go first? Tom, why don't you go first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've recollected a lot of fun thoughts from this series. It's one that or that's been a part of our lives for, decades, I guess, right? So, yeah, I mean, you know,
No, I don't. Tell us.
Do you
I don't know.
recommend?
Yeah, like, I mean, no one's gonna
Well,
be coming here looking for a recommendation. I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely
why do we even
recommend
do this
playing
segment?
well, no, it's just to
I know.
conclude our thoughts of the game.
At our final.
Yeah,
Our ultimate thoughts.
but yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, if you somehow haven't played this game or any of these games before, definitely check it out. I mean, even if you're not like the biggest Nintendo fan, the latest game they added so many characters from non-Nintendo games. It was pretty crazy, actually. And it's just like it's cool to play as those characters, like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, and they added Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think he was like the final DLC character.
Yeah. Sephiroth was added, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
what would
and
you recommend? Would you recommend people start at N64, or is there a particular,
I
let's
don't
say if you
think
could
you have to go that far back. I mean, I think just for the experience, it's cool to play Melee. Just
Yeah.
because that was really like what brought this game. Like, I think without Melee, if they had just released another Super Smash Bros. 64 style game on the GameCube, that the series would not be as successful as it has been.
Yep.
So yeah, go experience Melee, and then I had some words about Smash Ultimate, but it's still a cool game. You'll have fun playing it. Yeah, and so check it out.
All right. Yeah, I'll sort of second all of that. I would say, play any you could get your hand on. I think Ultimate is a good starting point, though. I think you'll get everything that you need to get from it. It has a good one player mode, as well as what it's best known for, which is its multiplayer mode. The some of the online potential is lacking, unfortunately, but the game is great, and obviously, as mentioned in a prior episode, its inclusion in our most hours played is going to very likely mean that most of us are going to like it, and I think that's the case here. I certainly recommend it. Um, and yeah, Pete, why don't you finish this off?
Yeah, so kind of along the lines of what Tom was saying, I think for our younger audience, really haven't experienced Melee or even N64, if you could get your hands on those games, I think it's worthwhile to experience. Then Brawl and Super Smash Bros. 4, maybe you could skip those if you haven't played them and jump straight to Ultimate. I feel like the experiences there are all kind of similar. But if you have never played Super Smash Bros., you should definitely at least play Ultimate. That's very available. You'll be able to get your hands on that. So that's my recommendation for that. But I also 100% recommend you going on YouTube and watching the original Super Smash Bros. Commercial.
All right, there you have it, the definitive word. Check us out on Instagram and X at Bros Boss Battles, BROS Boss Battles, our Twitch and YouTube accounts, our website at brothersandbossbattles.com, and wherever you get this podcast. Be sure to check out next episode for our third and final inclusion in the most hours played by the brothers here game. And then following that will be our newly styled Bro Down episode. So stay tuned for some good video game discussion and debate, and we will see you next time.